All right, back again with After Hours. We got a lot of good news topics today, team. We had a very splashy last week with a bunch of things come out with Casper. So if you missed that, go check that out last week. But Matty, we got a new week here. How are you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm always really grateful at the top of each week to start it out like this. Do a little bit of YouTube content for you guys, doing some content outside of our, regular Monday through Friday schedule, and chatting with some of you new guys. So I'm excited here to get you guys educated on, what's going on in the world, what's going on with crypto, and whatever topics Gav's got prepared for us today.
Yes, Matty, I do want to address something really quick. So, team, before we started right now, I was showing Matty maybe this tier list we can do, and Matty was just sharing with me, it's a Moon Boy. Matty pitched it up like, oh, dude, this is like Moon Boy type shit you got right here. I'm just like, yeah, it is, but I feel like we have to pitch to a newer audience that might want to get into crypto. And so for that, team, so we're just going to chop that out, and we're just going to take this from a crypto charged approach here. If you are getting into crypto, the best tool you can use is the beginner's course on our website. It's a 45-minute course that you can take. There's quizzes at the end of each video to get you integrated into crypto so that we don't have to do these, tier lists talking about, Moon Boy returns and, what's, Bonk going to do this cycle. We're not even going to talk about the cycle, Matty. Thank you for that. I was like, I wanted to pitch it to you because, Matty, you know how I come to you and I come with you ideas. I'm like, oh, these people are doing this type, they're talking about this type of crypto, which is usually meme coins and very speculative, projects that these, small communities are pushing. These 7,000 follower Twitter accounts are pushing. So we're not going to do that today, Matty. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep it focused. I do have a little fun segment at the end for our show here today. But, Matty, going back to that beginner's course, what would that do for someone? Because obviously, we're going to take a different approach here, team. We're going to be real, and we're going to tell you, hey, if you want to get integrated into crypto, this is the route to do that. Can you just talk about that course briefly?
Yeah, guys, it's bare bones, and we crafted it this way on purpose. I've done a lot of really long form content in the past, and I know that it's a little overwhelming for someone who's brand new, and there's just so many different aspects of crypto to learn about. So we really tried to look at, hey, what are the top 5 or 6 things that someone has to know, crucial has to know, otherwise you're going to make big mistakes. And we try to compress that into a 40-minute segment. So we're talking about what is crypto, a handful of verticals so you guys kind of understand the difference between not everything's trying to be money and, here's different verticals you can look to invest in, a little bit about kind of our investor strategy, the consistent investor strategy, and then just general safety tips. So, if you're brand new with us, you get a 30-day free trial no matter what membership you pick. So that's plenty of time for you to get through that 40-minute course, do the quizzes, get plugged into the community, ask questions, and kind of begin your journey. So that's why we created that course.
I love that, Matty. All right, no fluff today. We're keeping it focused. We're talking about things that matter here. And the first altcoin we're going to talk about, news related here. We're going to take a news approach to this. So talking about API 3. So API 3 had a big week these last couple weeks, actually. But this news article is actually pinning it up with maybe some narratives going along with it. So this is how it goes. API 3 token up 70% following Bitget listing the project. So let's talk about what API 3 is here for a second. The project facilitates the creation and monetization of decentralized APIs, allowing blockchain applications to access off-chain and real-world data. So, Matty, API 3 is pumped a lot. How much higher does it really have to go here before we see some major crash? Because it is slowly but surely still going up.
Right. It's, what goes up must come down, right? There's laws of gravity that apply to the charts here as well. And I think in crypto, people kind of push that to the side, especially as we start to get to big impulses, especially if you've been somebody like me and my team that's been accumulating for 2+ years here into this last bear market. Some of these assets like APA 3 and Casper, it's, you just want that to keep going. Of course, I'd love to see, my, $30, $40 targets by tomorrow. Yeah. But I also got to keep my expectations in check, right? So one of the things that we're always looking for with our team is not only, hey, we got the roadmap. Here's our 3 to 4 target approach for exiting, right? We know what those look like. But in relations to short-term trades, we also want to capitalize with some of our bag, our swing trading bag, I call it. That's generally for most of our members, 10 to 30% of their total holdings. Some, will approach it differently and, get rid of more or less depending on what their overall goals are. But when we have big imbalances on a chart, like we've had on APA 3, and that's essentially an area where there is an immense amount of selling or bearish candles, and there was no buying opportunities offered. That creates an imbalance on the chart in an area that needs to be satiated at some point in the future. So now the API3 has just kind of been chugging along, sub 150, kind of dipping its toes below that $1 mark, building a solid range in there. What we've recently done, we can say this is a Bitget listing that caused the majority of this, or we can just say it's an imbalance being cleared. I personally am of the belief that, yeah, maybe the news helped it up a little bit along, but all we're doing is banging our head against some serious imbalance right there. And that's between that $3 and $4.50 mark. Now, we haven't gotten all the way up there yet. I have another sell for another 10% of my bag up in that kind of 450 region or so, and I'm looking to reassess and look to re-enter, and or maybe just look to some other assets that are lagging behind and contribute some of those API3 profits into some other projects. But that's kind of what we're looking at here, is kind of maybe that 350 to 450 kind of being a local top. There's major resistance up there. So if we were to come back and do some back testing of the breakout zone, in kind of that mid $1, maybe a little bit higher region, that in my opinion would be very, very healthy. And I would love to see continuation from that point. But we are very hot right now and would like to see a little bit of cooling off personally.
Yeah, Matty, that's some great analysis, some technical analysis there. I'm impressed you just like spouted all of that off without even, we didn't even go to the chart here and you were just spouting off. That was pretty impressive. But just going back to this news article really quick, and I think you've touched on this a lot, and this is something that is like a constant, like reoccurring thing that happens in crypto is, pinning up news events with the technicals, right? So this article was just talking about this Bitget listing. So the title was, and this is literally a misleading title with the API3 popping because of the Bitget listing. The Bitget listing was on the 30th of January. Happened at 2 a.m., very early in the morning for our Pacific time here. But the surge we saw in API3 was on the 19th. We saw that giant candle print huge and then continued the following days after. So Matty, I kind of want you to speak to these news events, and is this like, are they like so close-minded that they think, oh, all news events are going to pump price? Or maybe just like a little bit more general terms, like, the price has to pump according to a news event. Does that make sense?
Right. I think that the human condition is that we want a catalyst. We want to know there's a reason behind absolutely everything that happens in the market. Yeah, of course there is. But you know what? 80-90% of those reasons are actually not quantifiable, right? We can't say, oh, it's going to happen for this reason. A lot of you guys on Twitter, are very upset that Casper hasn't gotten a T1 listing yet, or a tier 1 listing, aka like a Coinbase listing or a Kraken listing, something we have that's very large and accessible here in the US, very liquid. But guys, consider this. API3 has been on Coinbase for over a year now. And that didn't impact price in any capacity. Like, price has just been traveling between, like I said, $1 and $1.75 or so for, a year plus. And that was with the T1 listing in place. So yes, I love to see a big exchange like Bitget, even though they kicked us Americans off. Hopefully you guys bring us back soon with maybe some different rules. We would appreciate it. We love the platform. We miss you, Bitget. But guys, it's not the end all be all, positive or negative with the narrative. Just like we talked with the Casper news recently, IPW not minting or potentially, going through this bankruptcy restructuring does not impact the actual price of an asset class. So, come on, guys, let's invest here based on technicals, based on long-term adoption, and leave everything else to the side.
I love that, Matty. All right, let's move along here. And this next article is really talking about crypto and marketing to a different audience here. And if you look at, who's adopting crypto right now, who's buying up crypto from retail, it's people like me. It's Gen Z, it's millennials, it's the younger audience. But seemingly here, with this spot Bitcoin ETF, which is, really categorized for an older audience, it seems, this was Wall Street Journal here, crypto marketers have a new target audience. Your mother. Bitcoin is being promoted as a secure investment for baby boomers through ad campaigns, particularly after the SEC approved the first U.S. spot ETFs holding Bitcoin. The example was, and actually Dan brought this up on the show, I believe last week, Jonathan Goldsmith, best known for his role in the Dos Equis commercial in the ads, the most interesting man in the world, starting a campaign designed to raise awareness for the crypto asset manager Bitwise. So, along here, firms like BlackRock, Bitwise, WisdomTree, Grayscale are issuing Bitcoin ETFs and are targeting a older, wealthier, risk-averse audience with TV commercials on financial news shows. So, Matty, what does this really mean for Bitcoin here? And I did want to pin this up before you get this off. We are entering an interesting moment in America, and it has nothing to do with crypto at all. but it has to do with crypto advertisements, which we got the Super Bowl coming up next weekend.
Yep.
So if you look, if Matty, follow me here. If you look back to 2022, we were doing our crypto chart stuff back then and all that stuff, and we talked a lot about, ads and marketing relating to crypto and all these big companies promoting crypto or their exchanges or what they had going on at the Super Bowl. We had a big year for that. I remember we were talking about that, for a whole month at least. And then the following year, last year in 2023, no, we just like cut back all crypto ads. And so it's funny, Matty, because in 2022, there's a lot of hype within crypto still, and then the price in 2023, the year afterwards, was just super low. So it seemed like nobody wanted to talk about crypto. I have a prediction that I think we're going to be coming back with some crypto ads this year. But going back to the marketing here towards an older audience, is this going to work out? And what does this overall mean for Bitcoin as, we're going into a season in 2024 right now where these big institutions are looking to market to an older audience?
I think that there's probably a good portion of people that just have PTSD from seeing the commercials, having this extra set of confidence in both crypto investing and exchanges, and seeing multiple exchanges go down, the deleveraging event that a lot of us are not aware of, right? Like we can all dig into Etherscan as much as we want and try to see what's happening, but there's always some fugazi happening in the background that you're not privy to, especially when we're talking about like internal transfers. I think that the spot ETF definitely is a big gateway for an older generation to have exposure for Bitcoin in their portfolio. Like you said, you're trying to bring in something relatable here. The Dos Equis guy, I don't always buy Bitcoin, but when I do, it's a BlackRock ETF. I don't know. I haven't seen this commercial. I'm just going to imagine we're not going too far off of the beaten path here. But yeah. I think that it's going to take time for us to heal from what we did in 2022. And it's also a testament to what we just talked about with not being so attached to the narrative that's at play, right? Because in 2022, that was like, it's only getting crazier from here. It's only getting bigger and better. And that was actually marking the pico top, essentially, of everything, right? Absolutely everything. So, I wouldn't say that these small periods of hyper advertising are an indicator of long-term adoption for crypto. But I do believe that as we get more ETFs, especially the index funds, that's really what's going to propel an older generation forward, not having to think about, hey, I have a crypto index that's focused on payments. Like they don't have to think about it. It's got Quant, XRP, XLM. It's got all the goodies in there. They don't have to worry about it. They just know in 20 years I'm going to be doing really well, and somebody else is going to switch up this ETF as needed with new competitors in here. I think that's what really drives the adoption, not so much commercials and ads.
Yeah, no, definitely agree, Maddie. Do you think price has a factor in here? Because, bare depths of the bear market last year, but now Bitcoin's at 42K. We're seeing a different type of, big institutions marketing crypto. I'm really interested. I don't know why I'm so interested about this upcoming Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of Taylor Swift and all these other guys, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. So, like at Super Bowl 56, they would have, they think about like the FTX commercial, and look where FTX is at now. They're trying to get their money back to their customers, allegedly, or whatever. Does price play a factor in this at all? Because obviously, like as the narrative, for the regular person, the price matters, and they may not even be investing, but price of Bitcoin's up. Oh, Bitcoin's good. But last year, price of Bitcoin down. Nobody talking about crypto.
Right. I think if maybe we get something similar to kind of what Coinbase did last year, maybe it was the year before, where they had the QR code that was bopping around onto everyone's TV, and they thought that their stream was broken, and everyone was like getting on Coinbase, and there was a lot of people like doing the learn and earn and getting a little bit of crypto in there. So maybe if we had something like that again, we might see like a small price increase just because you have like a bunch of retail people coming in and buying $20 of Bitcoin, $100 of Bitcoin, whatever promo they throw out there. But I don't have any like direct expectations of price, appreciating with those Super Bowl commercials. But I do have a 6-leg parlay on Taylor Swift at the game, and hopefully that makes back all my losses from last year.
All right, we're done with that. Let's move along here, and this is very interesting to me. Coinbase, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, and Ripple pour millions into Fairshake crypto lobbying group. So these people, along with Electric Capital, Ripple, all these the ones I just mentioned, collectively contributed tens of millions of dollars to the Fairshake Political Action Committee to influence U.S. policymakers and support crypto-friendly candidates. So here's like kind of some of the breakdown here. Brian Armstrong personally donated $1 million to Fairshake. Who else did? Coinbase, the company, injected an additional 24.5 million into the pack. Ripple, 20 million. Anderson Horowitz, 20 million. Electric Capital, 500,000. Matty, do these lobbying, like, can you like break down in simple terms? Because I need explanation for this. How does this impact, or does this impact or help us at all as Americans?
We need lobbyists, absolutely. And it's kind of a bittersweet topic when people think lobbyists. I would say actually, for the most part, when people hear lobbyists, they're very like sour and they don't like the idea of it. And they don't like that people get paid all of this money to go and to push certain topics or to go meet with certain individuals to potentially see what can be negotiated to get most of what they want in a bill. And, maybe something else is offered at a later time. And don't get me wrong, there's dirty money that can happen when you're talking about lobbyists. I'm not going to ignore that fact. But if we just as individuals had the responsibility, we have any lobbyist, right? And we had to personally just go out there and try to talk to Congress and get them to understand what the hell we're talking about and what DLT is. You guys probably saw all of the recent, interrogations essentially with, CEO Mark Zuckerberg and TikTok and all these things. And you know how stupid our congressmen are, right? Like, what was that guy talking about? And he's like, is Facebook real or is this all just cottage cheese? And we're all like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, are you okay? Did you take your meds this morning? So like, you have to have a group of people out there that are fully educated and fully motivated to help get the gears going here, right? Because otherwise, this is an issue that gets pushed to the bottom. It's unfortunate, but if you have a big industry and you want to succeed, you need educated and motivated and experienced people propelling that forward, and that costs a lot of money. So if you're a big player in this space and you want to advance your product, it is a very good investment to invest in these packs because you are essentially propelling the technology forward. Without the packs, it could be 10, 15, 20 years until we get clarity on an exchange. With these packs, maybe we're talking about 2, 3, or 4 years, right? That's a very big difference from a business perspective of, hey, Coinbase can now branch out and have all these different subsidiaries. They can offer their own brokerages and have you a combination of stocks and crypto and ETFs and whatever else they want to offer. It's a very small investment for a very big piece of the pie down the road. So yeah, there's some gross stuff that happens with lobbying, but at the end of the day, it's very, very necessary because we as Americans do not have the time or resources to go be in front of Congress every single day until they give us what we want.
Yeah, it's necessary for us, Matty, because we're investors here, and
Right.
with more adoption, it's gonna propel our cryptos further. And so, Brian Armstrong, I was very skeptical, kind of skeptical about him in the beginning, but last year he was very vocal. Last year about SEC v Ripple. Obviously, Coinbase got its own thing going on. So, and then the Coinbase, the company, has also been very vocal on Twitter. And these are good avenues for communicating with the community. And then also, too, just kind of backing up, like, they talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? So with annual lobbying here, they've obviously, they're one of the biggest in donating to this crypto lobby that we're trying to get, more regulations. We're trying to get a foot in the door here with crypto in America here. And so, what does this mean for this year, Matty? Are we going to see big changes this year in crypto? I know we talked about, tax obligations this year. It's kind of still, Wild West. They're still trying to figure that out. I know we talked about that a lot on the live show. But what does it mean for this year? Are we going to see any changes as it relates to Americans interacting with crypto?
I hate to say it, but I think we might get the can kicked down the road this particular year on hard regulation, and that's because it's a presidential election year. So you don't want to rock the boat too much if you're running again, right? Especially with a good chunk of people not really caring about crypto. Like, you look at the average voter base, right? And like, it's still mostly boomers, right? Like, you guys need to get out there and vote if you guys want things to change, because you're letting them absolutely smash you guys out in the polls, with the older generation coming in and just keeping everything exactly the same, right? And a lot of you guys out here are very educated with crypto. You already are making better money than you've ever made having a stock portfolio, and you guys have an opportunity to invest in tech that's absolutely phenomenal right now. So us getting out there, making it known, the issues that are important to us is a very important thing. So, if you're 35 or under, guys, you guys need to get out to the polls so that we can make a difference here. I think that we could get it kicked down the road because it's a very touchy subject right now. I don't think we're quite in the political climate to make a big push in crypto right now. Now, after we do, whether Biden wins again, whether there's a change in political hands, that's really a better time for the most part for us to start renegotiating bills and to work on stuff again, right? Because people have three and a half years to forget about whatever you did at the beginning of your presidential term. So that's just kind of my gut instinct. I would love to be wrong and to see some huge, progress by the end of this year, at least in relations to definitions of brokers and exchanges. But my gut says 2025 or later.
I love that, Matty. And this is a great, this might be boring for some people, but this matters so much. Like when in this time frame, I think you said in the past, like 5 to 10 years, 10 to 20, when are we going to see this acceptance of crypto? And everything we've kind of talked about today is like, I would say is pretty positive. We're getting back into Google allowing crypto ads on their platform in January. That finally happening. And, we're getting back again into crypto advertisement, marketing, and all this does, Matty, is help us. So we're Crypto Charge. We're an educational company. And so when people are hearing these things about crypto, they're going to go want to learn crypto. And then they land on a website like this where they learn about crypto. Hopefully they get to us there, which is very important. They're not just going onto an exchange and start buying a bunch of cryptos, So, right. I'm very optimistic, Matty. Are you very optimistic? And I would like to, I know this is stupid. This is very stupid, Matty. I know what I'm about to say. What time frame are we looking at here, right? What time frame are we looking at to see this, because I want crypto to be like, I don't know, like fast food. Like everyone gets fast food. When do we get to that point?
So I think that probably one of the better indicators that we can use if we're looking at just kind of like past tech booms, right? And I think that we're still just very much in the middle of a tech boom. I think textbooks will change if we are even using textbooks. Most likely not. I'm already dating myself here. Literally most of education is online for a lot of kids these days, which is great because you have more up-to-date information. It's more accurate. You don't have to like correct and be like, well, you guys scroll it out. We're actually super wrong about that. We can just update it and we can be like, okay, here's the new information. But look at like the initial boom of tech, right? Like even into the 2000s, lots and lots of people were still using dial-up in their homes, right? And if you guys don't know what dial-up is, it's basically calling on like a very old analog line. It takes several minutes to establish connection. It's very slow when you do get it. And you cannot use the phone line at the same time that the internet's running. So most of you guys have never had to deal with that struggle, right? Fast forward, we start to move to better internet connections. We're not using dial-up anymore. We start to get fiber optics. You even look at, how cell phones and computers have evolved, right? Like even in 2015, we were heavily using optical discs inside of most of our machines. Like most laptops and desktops came with some sort of optical drive into like up into 2015. You look at the smartphone boom, right? Like 2012, people started to have, smartphones at that point, but it's really just been in the last 10 years that like the full adoption of everybody having smartphones with full LTE, 5G access, whatever you're using, texting, being able to have, apps all at a reasonable price point took time. And that's because there's also a combination of like the price and adoption, right? Like there's the price of hardware and the quality of the hardware. And then there's like what the average American makes, right? And I think that's where we're at with crypto right now is like you have a lot of people who are not ready for that bridge because there's this steep learning curve if you want to be involved with crypto or DeFi right now and you don't want to be, paying somebody else to manage it for you. There's a super steep learning curve with that, as well as some hardware costs, right? But then we talk about adoption of like, let's just say like payments. Yeah, for the first maybe few years, we're going to be able to use the existing RFID technology that's in these readers at grocery stores and liquor stores and wherever else we use tap to pay. But over time, as we get more complex and we have more chains supported and we have better tech that's available, that's going to force these point of sale merchants to upgrade their hardware. And again, that is something that they do not want to do all at once because that initial wave of tech, when we initially, install all this tech in this hardware that allows us to run all kinds of crypto stuff, check our balances, be able to do all this stuff everywhere. That's a huge initial expense. Now, after that initial installation, you've got to probably get another 5 or 10 years where new competitors come online, hardware gets cheaper, it gets better, people are more comfortable with it, they're more aware of it, and then that real adoption sets in. So you guys probably don't want to hear, first of all, that super long explanation I gave, but you probably don't want to hear that I'm talking about 15 plus years of like real life adoption to set in comfortably. That's probably a reasonable number. Now, that's not to say over the next 5 to 10 years that we can't get incredible adoption, but that initial expense and transition is hard. It's very, very hard. And that's still very hard for people today. Even though smartphones are very abundant in the last 10 years, there's still a very large generation that does not like smartphones. They don't like touchscreen technology. And still, computers scare them to this day, right? Like they're not even familiar with how to use computers, even though we've had them actively for the past 35 years in people's homes. So things to consider, guys. I'm here for the long run. And that's why I try to also pick long-term picks in addition to these short-term picks, because by the time the adoption sets in, you're talking about a multi-$1,000 XRP. You're going to be very happy that you've just been stacking that for the last several years at sub $1, right?
Woo! That was lit. That was so lit, man.
After hours, baby.
I love it when you get like that. All right, so cap off today's show, Matty. I grabbed some great questions, and so we're gonna do a little rapid fire segment here. This is from Answer the Public. They show the most searched questions in total, but I grabbed the most searched crypto questions. And so in a rapid fire style here, I want you to answer these as quick and as brief as you can. Just give me like, your little knee-jerk reaction here, Matty. So first question here, where to buy crypto?
Easiest, safest place is Coinbase. Obviously, I'd prefer for most of you guys to use MEXC or cold storage as your secondary. But for just buying and selling, Coinbase is liquid, they're secure, and I love to use that for my DCA. It's Coinbase.
Which crypto will explode in 2024?
A lot of them. A lot of them will, right? I think that everyone tries to get hyper-focused on which one. I don't know. Let's say XRP. I think XRP is really cooked up. I think it's ready to go. You guys know that I feel big about my microcap holdings, but XRP has been cooking so freaking long, guys. It's a beautiful chart, and I think it's going to go really, really ballistic this next year and surprise some people. Maybe even surprise me expectation-wise.
Which crypto wallet is best?
Any cold storage solution. I'm a big fan of Ledger, been using them a very long time, so I'm a little biased, but genuinely, any cold storage, even the ones that I don't know about, as well, would highly recommend over just keeping things on exchange.
Which crypto to buy today for the short term?
For the short term, if we're talking really, really short term, I feel like, honestly, there's a lot of opportunities out there. I like HBAR short term, I like Zcash short term, and I like Casper short term. I think those all have good short term setups. But honestly, guys, there's a lot of charts right now that are offering you good short term setups if you want to just be patient and identify some buy zones.
Which crypto exchange is best in the US?
So that's probably going to go Coinbase again. I like Kraken a lot. They just took too long to do a facelift on their website. I'm familiar with their types of order books because I come from foreign exchange, so I'm used to like clunky looking software. I think Kraken just took too long to come on board with that, but Kraken's still a very good second choice if for whatever reason you can't get on Coinbase or you just want a backup exchange, but Coinbase is probably the number one in the US right now.
Which crypto exchange has the lowest fees?
So I'd say MEXC's fees are very, very low. Again, there is kind of like the cost of doing business of taking the stable coins that are seasoned and moving it to the exchange. So I'm not going to ignore that there is like a little bit of a transfer fee that you have to pay and then also the withdrawal. But overall, if you're going to move like a large amount of money in there, do a bunch of trading and then take it all back, you're probably going to save more money with MEXC. Now, for my DCA though, Coinbase One is $30 a month and you pay no fees up to $10,000 a month in volume. And I do get my money's worth every single month because if you guys look at actually the transaction cost per transaction on a DCA, I think like a $50 order will cost you $2 or $3 for that order. If you're doing that every single day, that adds up very, very quickly, and that $30 is honestly a no-brainer. So the combo of DCA for Coinbase plus Coinbase One does make it a very affordable exchange.
And last question here, why is crypto bad?
Oh, because it takes power away from those, little greedy goblins that have been running this country for hundreds of years. Really, honestly, I think that privacy and the decentralized factor is what people don't like the most about crypto because they think that it's only used by people who have bad intentions or want to use it for illicit activity. But guys, crypto's tech, it's code. Code can be used for good or bad things. And I think overall we have amazing use cases that crypto is going to satiate. And I'm willing to take some of the bad that goes with that, just like any tech that's out there, right? Internet's a great place. We can do all kinds of things. We connect with our friends. We can, find new hobbies. We can, research to anything we want to. And then there's also people making, kitty porn out there, right? And that's a terrible use of the internet. But it doesn't mean that we should take away the internet as a whole because people are doing bad things. We should target the people doing bad things and arrest them for doing the bad things, right? So tech is how we use it and how we regulate the use of those things that makes it good or bad.
Matty, I think we had a great after hours show going on here. Team, I unintentionally here, I think if I had to step back and look at this from an audience perspective, I think this was a good show if you were a beginner, talking a lot about adoption, talking a lot about, the questions we just ran through, talking about the future, advertisement. So if you have somebody that wants to get into crypto or they slightly mention, hey, crypto's interesting, what should I buy? Because that's usually the first question they ask. Send them this show. Please just send them this show because I think a lot of the things that were discussed here, a lot of things that Matty, you just went into are amazing for a first-time user. We also talked about the beginner course at the beginning here, so I think this is great. Team, we have the Ask Matty show on Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. If you have questions, drop them in the comment section down below. And we didn't really plug Crypto Charge this whole show, but in that pinned comment, you can go directly to our website. We also have a couple other links down there. You can get to our socials and stuff like that. I hate saying stuff like that. Why do I say stuff like that, Matty? Why do I say that? Anyways, team, great show. Matty, anything to leave the team with here before our Wednesday show?
Guys, get after it. Make having a proper crypto portfolio part of your 2024 success plan. It's not too late, right, guys? Like, it's literally the beginning of February. You've got so much time. I know that it's so easy to fall off with those New Year's resolutions. You're all optimistic in week 1, maybe even end of week 2, and then you slip at the gym a little bit and you forget that you're supposed to be reading a little bit every morning and you're not on your water intake. But it's not too late to get back on the horse with those things. So if you don't already have a support system around you to be able to ask questions, have constant ongoing updates, feel like you're a part of a community that's going to propel you forward, come check us out at Crypto Charge. Again, 30-day free trial with any membership you use. YouTube gets you half off any membership you're choosing, whether it be the monthly or the yearly. You save a little bit more with the yearly. I'm excited for you guys to at least just check out our program, see what we're about, and hopefully grab some value from it.
All right, team. Thank you for joining us tonight. We will see you Wednesday. Bye.